Here's the other thing about property is that people don't buy it and sell it within a 12-month time frame or a 2-year. Usually it's a 10-year plus hold. So
hence the emotions.
Yeah, but if you overpay now through a good agent selling you on the dream, you're not going to really know in where it sits, because you're not going to put it back on the market and test that market, because it's going to cost you however much, 50 grand in stamp duty fees on $1 million purchase. Then you're going to have to sell it. It's going to cost you 30 grand in real estate agent fees to sell it. So that's silly. But
So what are some of the other things that they would
always expect competition? So there's always like, we've got a couple of buyers that are interested in it. We've got offers coming in, or we had 40 parties through the first open home. It's looking really good. There's always someone in the back end. There's always that competition. That's what they get trained to do, is always create competition, because that gives that emotional driver to
generate fear. Is basically what they're doing.
And that's why, in order to offset that with clients, I like to run. Yes, we're more focused on this property, but let's look at another one, and then start comparing. And that is also educating them on where the value sits, because if you're looking at say 2 or 3 other properties, they're starting to see where that value sits, and often different minds, different emotions come through different personalities. So some people come in gun ho, yep, I want it, just give it to me, and you're like, whoa. So you got to pull them back. Like, it's not worth $1.4 million, mate. Like, let's at least test it, feel it out. Whereas other people are like, oh, I'm not paying that, and then you have to educate them to say, hey, I know you want this unicorn deal, but over the past 6 months, all these properties that you think you would be suited towards, guess what? They've all sold for way over what you're anticipating to buy this one for. So why would you think anything different? So it's you're a bit of a psychologist in a way.
Yeah, it fully is. And I really like the thing for a buyer having multiple deals, multiple properties they're looking at the same time is such a good route and thing to people. I forget the actual word that I'm trying to look for. It's such a good vehicle for people to have non-attachment to one specific deal, because if they are only looking at one property and they're riding on that, then they're more emotional about it versus, if I don't get it for the price I want, then let's just see what these other ones do.
A key I'd say too is don't mention the address of the other properties, because the sales agent, if they're good, they know the area, they will go, oh, I know that property, poo-poo this, that's not worth that. Oh, and then they're asking 1.2, that means your budget sits around 1.2. But this property is only asking 1.1. We'll get into budget maybe next, while we're on it.
Let's do it now.
So a lot of people have fear around telling real estate agents what their budget is for a property.
Should they have fear around that?
No.
Why not?
Because budget doesn't mean value. And you can come
that is a quote.
Yeah, write that one down.
Yeah. No, but it is.
But yeah, so you can sit there and go, a lot of agents go, well, what are you looking for? And if you're in a market and you've missed out on a couple of times, you've spoken to a number of agents, a lot of them do ask, well, what's their budget? What's your budget? And you can just tell them what your budget is. Just be honest with them, because then if they bring you properties and they're not within your budget, you say, it's not within my budget.
Yeah.
They might bring you a property that's below your budget, and a lot of people don't like giving their budget. How many times can you say budget?
Budget.
They don't like giving their budget because they don't want the agent knowing, oh, I've got $1.2 million to spend, because they all work in a team if they're in the same office, or they write these things down in their notes so they know what you've got. But you just turn around and say, look, I know I've got $1.2 million to spend. I don't see $1.2 million in value in that property. So why would you expect me to pay that when everything else, based on comparables and everything else, is 1.1?
Yeah.
And then you have that discussion and you go, look, I want to buy the property, but it's got to be at market value. So, if you think it's worth 1.2, then go out and get it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and find another property that's actually better, that is worth around 1.2, because I can't afford that, but I do like this one. It's fantastic, and I know I could probably put $100,000 into it, and it'll be worth 1.3. So it's actually better for me to buy this, but I can't stack it up on that.
Yeah. And you can give the agents a ballpark figure. You can say you're around 1.2. You can do a little bit more, you can do a little bit less, but that's where you're looking at. That's your sweet spot.